My name is Sarah. I am currently a full-time housewife. My husband, William, is a successful businessman, and he has even been promoted to executive director. As a result, we live quite comfortably, and I am dedicated to supporting my husband. We have a lovely son named James. James has a serious personality and excels in his studies. Thus, he was accepted to a prestigious private university, and after that, he found a job at a trading company. James is my pride and joy. One day, James came to our house. It's unusual that you are here other than during long weekends or New Year's, isn't it? Yeah, there's something I want to talk to both of you about today, James replied. What is it? You are sounding formal. My husband and I were listening to what James had to say. Well, I'm actually planning to get married. We were surprised at this sudden news, and we exchanged glances. Really? My husband stammered in surprise. Is that so? Congratulations! I was so surprised that I blurted out words as if I had lost my composure. Indeed, James is 27 years old. He is getting so close to 30s, so it wouldn't be strange for him to consider getting married. However, in my eyes, James is still like a child. I was happy that he decided to get married, but a sense of loneliness welled up within me at the same time. What kind of person is she? Her name is Jessica. We were introduced by a friend and we've been dating for about a year now. I see. That's good then. My husband smiled. By the way, there's actually one more thing I need to announce. I could see a hint of nervousness on James's face. What is it? Jessica is actually pregnant with our child. That means an unplanned pregnancy. James nodded in response to my husband's words. But it's not that I'm getting married, just to take responsibility because she got pregnant. I had already been considering marriage from the beginning. So, the pregnancy is merely a catalyst, James explained. I felt somewhat relieved when I heard what James said. There's nothing sadder than an unwanted child. Yeah, if you've thought it through, and that's what you want, then it's fine. It's not for us to meddle in, my husband said. Yes, double congratulations to both of you, I added. When he heard that, James let out a sigh of relief and smiled. Thank you. Actually, I've already introduced myself to Jessica's parents. Next time, I'll bring Jessica here to introduce to you, James said. You guys shouldn't try too hard. She is carrying a child. Yeah, I understand. 2 weeks after James's announcement, Jessica came to our house. Nice to meet you. I'm Jessica. Oh, please come inside. Jessica had a very flashy appearance, but the joy of having a daughter-in-law and a grandchild outweighed that. I arranged for James and Jessica to sit side by side. Once again, this is my fiancée, Jessica. And these are my parents. Nice to meet you, Jessica. Likewise, perhaps she was nervous. Her voice lacked energy. To ease the tension, I brought up a topic for James. Have you decided on what you are going to do about the wedding ceremony? Well, considering the baby in Jessica's belly, we've decided to wait until she gives birth, and we settle down. I see. Well, that's wise. You have to prioritize the baby in the belly. Jessica, are you anxious because it's your first pregnancy? When I asked, Jessica nodded. Yes, that's true. I wondered if she was still not relaxed. It seemed like she found it bothersome to respond to me. After that, I went to the kitchen and started preparing the meal. I had asked James about Jessica's preferences beforehand, so I had prepared various dishes as appetizers. As I was plating the food, Jessica appeared. I felt delighted, thinking she was going to help me with the cooking. "Oh, it's fine. Make yourself at home." "No, it's not that. I came here to ask for lighter seasoning because I can't handle strong flavors." "Oh, I see. Well, it probably won't be too strong, so it should be fine." I was taken aback by the sudden request. "I see. If that's the case, then it's fine." As she said that, Jessica looked around the kitchen. "This house is big, isn't it? The kitchen has all the latest appliances." Yes. My husband replaced everything, with the latest ones for me." That's nice. Once you catch a rich guy, you can live a good life without working." With just that remark, Jessica returned to the living room. I was stunned for a while by what had happened. And after the two left, I reported this to my husband. My husband groaned and crossed his arms. "She's quite an unusual person, isn't she? I wonder if it was a good decision for James." "Yes, I'm worried too." Despite our concerns, James married Jessica. They began their newlywed life. About 3 months later, James called me on the phone. "Mom, do you have time to talk right now?" "Sure. What's the matter?" "Well, you see, Jessica is anxious about giving birth, so she wants to have the baby where the baby's grandparents are." "Oh, I see. Well, it's natural to feel anxious." "No, you see, she's saying that she wants to give birth at your house, Mom." "Huh? What do you mean?" I was taken aback by the sudden request. "I don't really understand either. Normally, she would go back to her own family's home, right? But she insists on staying at your house until she gives birth. Well, that's definitely strange. Did something happen with her own family?" "I don't know. I haven't really asked her about it in detail, but what do you think, Mom?" Hearing that, I couldn't fully accept it without reservations. However, I do understand Jessica's anxieties about giving birth. "Let me talk to your father about it and get back to you." "Okay, sorry about this." After that, I discussed it with my husband, and we decided to accept Jessica. 1 week later, Jessica came to our house. "Jessica, you can use the room that James used to use." I guided Jessica to the room James used to use, and she furrowed her brow. I'm pregnant, so going up the stairs is impossible for me. Please let me use a room on the first floor." After saying that, she declared that she would use the guest room as her own room. I reluctantly moved the blankets and household items downstairs. "By the way, are there any convenience stores around here?" "Yes, there's one about 5-minute drive away." "Okay, can you go and buy some carbonated water and snacks for me?" "I have to have snacks," she said nonchalantly. From then on, Jessica's demands escalated, and 3 days after Jessica arrived, an incident occurred. "Well, I've already told you that I don't want to leave the room, so I want you to bring my meal and snack, and leave them in front of my room, haven't I?" "But I don't know when you want something or what you want, and I have other things I need to do too." "Don't mess with me. I'm pregnant. You're a housekeeper, so just bring me food. And don't show up in front of me. Just seeing your face stresses me out. You're an eyesore." I was at a loss for words at the extreme verbal abuse. "Who do you think you are?" My husband glared at Jessica with a voice filled with anger. I've been with my husband for a long time, but I had never seen him this angry before. "What's wrong with you? I'm pregnant, you know." Even a little bit of stress can affect the child, so it's only natural. Jessica was frightened by my husband's pressure, but she still retorted. I see. You think it's okay to treat me and my wife with that kind of attitude? Yes, exactly. In that case, leave immediately. We are not going to take care of you anymore. Wait a minute. Are you kicking me out of this house? Even Jessica started panicking. However, this was a decision that my husband and I had made after discussing. My husband knows about the mistreatment I received from Jessica, because I reported and consulted with him every step of the way. We had decided that, if such a thing were to happen again, we would kick her out. Of course. Your attitude is simply outrageous. What? What did I do? You made my wife go to the convenience store suddenly, because you were hungry. And when she didn't bring back what you wanted, you cursed at my wife. Do you think such behavior is acceptable? But that pizza didn't taste the way I wanted it to. I thought that she knew what I liked. There's no way I could have known that. Jessica and I have only known each other for a short while. Besides, you've been using the guest room without permission and making my wife bring you food and drinks. Let me make it clear, my wife is not your servant. But she's a housewife, right? She has free time, so it's only natural for her to do things for me. My husband sighed in disgust at her words. Being a housewife doesn't mean she's obligated to do those things for you. Well, you're not working right now either. You quit your job after marrying James. So technically, you're also a housewife. Does that mean you're okay with being treated the same way by James? When I asked that, Jessica bit her lip, looking frustrated. Even if that's the case, I have nowhere else to go if I'm kicked out right now. James is away on a business trip, and you are going to leave me alone in this state? Even though she described it as the state, her belly was still only slightly enlarged. She is overreacting. Don't worry. James is already heading here. Jessica was surprised by my husband's words. He's also worried about you, so he's coming straight here from his business trip. And I'll ask him to take you home. The front door opened as if in response to my husband's words. And there stood James with a stern expression. As soon as Jessica saw James, she embraced him. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here, James. Unlike before, Jessica portrayed a fragile figure. We were taken aback by this transformation. James, listen. Your parents are trying to drive me out, saying they can't take care of me. Don't you think that's cruel? However, James remained calm and looked at us calmly. What happened? Jessica has been repeatedly showing disrespect towards your mother, so I asked her to go home. No, I didn't do anything like that. After you did whatever you wanted in our house, you can't get away with saying I didn't do anything. Or are you saying that we are lying? James took a deep breath and looked at Jessica. In all my life, I've never seen my father so angry. Jessica, are you sure that you didn't do anything? Well, I just asked for small favors, like running errands and getting some cleaning done. I wouldn't call the things such as waking me up in early morning and making me go shopping and making me clean your room small favors. In response to my clarification, James let out a sigh. Why would you do something like that? Jessica became furious at James' words. Since she's a housewife and she doesn't do anything else, so she should do that much. I'm pregnant. And yet, these people are completely useless. When he heard that, James glared at Jessica. I've been thinking about it for a while now, and I've finally made up my mind. What are you talking about? I want a divorce. I can't be with you anymore. My husband and I were shocked by James' words. It didn't seem like he made the decision solely based on emotions. Why would you say that? I'm pregnant, remember? And you're saying you want to divorce me? You weren't like this before we got married, but ever since we started living together, you've been acting selfishly all the time. I've been patient because I knew that being pregnant is tough, but if you've been treating my parents that way, I'm done with you. H, how dare you? Are you saying you want to divorce me for that reason? I think it's more than enough reason for a divorce. Wait. What about our unborn child? How is this baby supposed to live? Jessica desperately appealed to James. I agreed with her on that point. It's no secret that Jessica has issues, but it has nothing to do with the baby who was caught up in it. If you want a divorce, then you better be prepared to pay alimony and child support. If you're still fine with it, let's get a divorce. Yes, it's an important aspect of taking responsibility. James, if it's about financial matters, I can also contribute. So, don't deceive yourself and make a decision. When he heard my husband's words, James smiled. Thank you. But you don't have to worry, James said and faced Jessica. Why didn't you go to your parents' house in the first place? When it comes to giving birth, staying at your parents' house is normal. I already explained that, didn't I? It's because my parents' house is far, and going there would be a hassle. I thought it would be better to be here. But if you use the express train or airplane, you can get there in a short time, and your belly isn't that big yet, so it's strange, isn't it? That's none of your business. There's no rule that says, I have to go back to my parents' house. Jessica shouted hysterically. Even after I listened to your explanation, I couldn't understand, so I called your parents. What? Jessica sounded surprised. Why would you do something like that? Because every time this topic comes up, you always yell like that, so I couldn't help but think you were hiding something. So, did you find out anything? Yeah. Jessica had been disowned by her parents. What? Is that true, Jessica? I couldn't help but ask Jessica. However, Jessica remained silent and didn't answer anything. So, going back to her own parents' house wasn't an option for her. So, she had no choice but to rely on her in-laws. In that case, how could she treat us like that? Do you know the reason? Well, it's because my family and I had a bad relationship to begin with. Just because you are family, that doesn't mean you get along well. Our relationship even worsened after I got married, so we ended up cutting ties. We met her parents before they got married. They didn't seem like that. You really never know with family. I don't have anyone else to rely on except you. So please don't talk about divorce. Jessica pleaded with James once again. Yet James' expression remained unchanged. You don't have anyone else to rely on. Are you serious? What do you mean? After that phone call, your mother called me and I went to their house. It happened to be near your parents' house where I was on a business trip, and there I heard the reason why they disowned you. Huh? Wasn't it because of the bad relationship? James shook his head. No, it wasn't. There was a valid reason. James stared at Jessica. Jessica, when you were dating me, you were dating another man, right? As James said that, Jessica's face turned pale and she was at a loss for words. I looked at my husband in surprise. So you were two-timing? Yes. While being involved with both me and the other guy, you got pregnant, and you didn't know whose child it was. As your belly grew, you started worrying about whether it was really my child, and when you discussed going to your parents' house and giving birth there, you confessed it to your parents, right? As James explained, Jessica frowned with frustration. She must be angry at her parents for telling James. After hearing that story, your parents disowned you. Your mother-in-law said that she had enough of you who engaged in such two-timing. I was simply shocked by James' story. I heard that her parents had been wondering how to talk to James for a long time since they heard the story. Initially, you planned to give birth at your parents' house, but you were disowned because you confessed about the affair, so you decided to give birth at my parents' house, right? Jessica remained silent in response to James' words. Getting impatient, my husband demanded an explanation from Jessica. Explain to us. We won't understand if you stay silent. Of course, it's all lies. Jessica glared at my husband and James. Lies? That's right. My parents hate me, so they made up such lies to break off the engagement. That's why they said that I was two-timing. I think those were desperate words. However, the problem is that there is no way to confirm it. Indeed, it's possible that Jessica's parents are lying. I was confused about what to do. Well, let's find out. How are you going to find out? Are you going to ask my parents again? They will definitely lie. Hey, James, believe me. No, it's not like that. We should ask the appropriate institution. It was my husband who understood what James meant. I see, a DNA test. Yes. It will quickly determine whose child is in your belly. We can't do that. Jessica vehemently opposed it. Believe what I say, okay? The very act of doubting me like that is betrayal. Considering your attitude until just now, do you think that we can trust you? With suspicions of infidelity arising, it's only natural to investigate. As I said that, Jessica glared at me. Still, I looked at Jessica with a firm attitude. Hey, let's not do this, okay? We are a married couple. If you haven't done anything and you're innocent, you would be willing to take a DNA test. Yet you stubbornly refuse. It proves that you have something to hide. Jessica's expression turns into despair at James's words. Get out. I'll let you stay in my house for a while, but if we divorce, you'll also have to leave that house. Overwhelmed by James's forcefulness, Jessica left his parents' home dejectedly. After that, during the divorce settlement, Jessica took a DNA test reluctantly. It was officially proven that the child in her womb was indeed her lover's. Thus, James sought alimony from Jessica during the divorce, and naturally, his claim was approved. After the divorce, Jessica apparently reconciled with her lover. However, the man she was involved with was an unemployed playboy with no steady job, so Jessica started working after giving birth, and she is raising the child on her own. As for James after the divorce, he started coming back to our house more often than before. Initially, I was worried about the shock of the divorce on him, but he doesn't seem particularly bothered, and he is living energetically. I felt a sense of strength from James and realized he had grown as an